Hey Hodies, welcome to my channel. My name is Homemess Tom and thank you so much for clicking on the video. Today, we're going to be talking about the 17 worst products that I tried this year. If you are new to my channel, hi, thank you so much for taking the chance and clicking on my video to see what I'm about. My channel is typically about loving my makeup collection as it currently is. We're in December right now, so this is a lot of like ranking, end of the year, reflecting on all of my purchases. And so today we're going to be talking about the worst ones. But if you're into the kind of thing where you see the person use the same makeup over and over again in their content, this is the place for you, and I would love to have you subscribe. I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there, and I would really appreciate a like if you could give me one on this video. I would appreciate that. All right, here we are. We're ranking things. Now, is my ranking going to be perfect? Probably not. Is my ranking going to be biased? Very biased. It's going to be very biased. Will some things be on the bottom for very superfluous reasons, very stupid reasons in your eyes? Yeah, absolutely. Am I too lazy to pull out some of the products from my drawer to hold in front of the camera and talk to you about them? Absolutely. Will I be applying any of this makeup today? No, it's the worst makeup. Why would I spend my time doing that? But I will pop pictures of everything here on the guest star couch, and it'll be the last time they make any guest starring appearances on my channel. If you love anything that I'm talking about in this video, I will say this: most of the stuff I tried this year was not catastrophically bad, and the stuff that I ended up hating the most is like personal vendetta reasons against them. I don't think that necessarily they are a bad product, but like they really didn't work out for me, and like I'm mad at them for that. Actually, do what you will with that information. I also might have missed some items, so I counted 70. That was what was on my budget spreadsheet of what was new, and it includes PR that I received, which I didn't receive a ton of PR this year, but I did receive some, so I also wanted to include that in the ranking. And I will try most of the things I will bought, so I will shout out anything if I know it to have been PR, and that way you'll know whether or not I have some bias because I received it for free. All right, let's get into it. I'm gonna have my phone next to me, so just deal with it. Last place is the Hourglass Ambient Soft Glow Foundation. Now, if I did any exclusive videos on any of these and you want to see more in-depth detail, I'll try to remember to link them all down below. That sounds like a lot of work for me that I'm going to hate, but it feels valid and worthwhile to do. I bought this foundation because I like Hourglass products for the most part. Really love their lipstick. Really like their powders. I have a couple blushes from them. I also had like dim light. I enjoyed that. It wasn't the best thing for me, but like Hourglass can make a product, right? And make it very beautiful. I buy this foundation thinking it's going to change my life because it's called the Ambient Soft Glow. Those powders are called the Ambient Powders. So I thought this foundation would solve all my problems. It'd make me look like I have put foundation on and some of the powders on. But what it actually was like this soft matte finish that didn't look like it had ambient glow to it at all. And I feel like the only time I got it to look like it had an ambient glow was whenever I used my hands to apply it. I know many people do not like to apply a foundation with their fingers. I'm not opposed to that if it feels good on my fingers, which is the bigger problem. And the formula was like pretty thick and dense, and I felt like it was more coverage than I typically like. I personally typically love a light coverage foundation that has a lot of blurring properties to it. I thought because of the ambient lighting situation, I felt like I was going to get the blur with it, but I didn't. There was no blur. It was just coverage. It was just coverage. And occasionally you would get the appearance of a glow, and it didn't really matter what primer I used it on. It just did not feel like a I think it was $65 at the time. It did not feel like it was worth $65. And I have foundations more expensive than that I would rebuy at full price before I would reach for this. It wasn't a very elegant formulation. It just was like a pretty big dud for Hourglass. However, Hourglass seems to be on the upswing. People seem to really, really like the new powders that they released, and they definitely added some deeper complexions products. So they are doing something more right. That foundation formula, however, wasn't right. In 69th place is the Dior Quint in the colorway New Look. I bought this because I saw Amanda Z use it, and it was the most beautiful eyeshadow look I had ever seen. And then I bought it. I bought it with a gift card, and I wish I hadn't. It was one of those like Visa gift cards, so it would have been like a really hard return process. Like I wasn't about to try to figure that out, but I kind of want my I think it was like $65. Everything's $65, but it was in the $60 range. A quint of eyeshadows, $65. Now, I spent more on a quad. I'm not immune to spending more than that. All of the shades were the same tone, meaning that there was no depth and no lightness. And when I watch Amanda use it, she must have just like such a delicate touch, because it looked like the most beautiful, wet, slick look on her lids. And on me, I like could not get it. And I tried to do more structured looks because I was like, well, maybe I can't make it look like Amanda Z, but maybe I can make it into something that I do enjoy. I do in fact enjoy. I couldn't. Everything looked so muddy when I tried to use it, which is like a little bit confusing because it like looked like there was depth to it, but it all ended up so muddy. There was one eyeshadow in here that I really liked, and like if it was a single shadow, I probably would be like, yeah, I'd keep it, but I'm not going to keep a whole ass Dior Quint in my collection in order to like, I'm just not for one eyeshadow. And I am now more of a one and done eyeshadow person than I was at the time of buying that Quint, but I'm still not going to keep 5 eyeshadows that I don't want around. You know, I'm like 4 eyeshadows that I really don't want around in order to keep the one that I like kind of liked. And it's like, it was pretty close to Smoky Quartz, which is a hypnotizing eye pop that I bought after that. And I use that a lot more than I ever use this Dior Quint. In fact, I think I used the Dior Quint like 5 or 6 times and I was like, this isn't it. It had good longevity though. I will give it that. Like the eyeshadows were pigmented and easy to work with, but it was just like, why is this expensive? Like I wasn't getting, the packaging wasn't there for Dior to be charging that much money for what that was. Like the experience wasn't luxe. Like I wasn't getting, not getting anything really luxurious out of that. So that's why it's in 69th place. In 68th place is the Gucci Blush Debute in the shade Rosy Tan or Rosy Beige or whatever the actual shade is supposed to be called. Gucci, get back to us on that one. But I know you're like busy with like the transfer of power. Feels like Survivor. Have you ever watched Survivor? Do you like Survivor? Does anyone in the chat like Survivor? I like Survivor. I don't watch it every year, but sometimes I'll go watch just a season that I haven't seen before. And it is very entertaining. There's a reason that show's been around for so long, and if you discredit it, you're wrong. There's something in that show. There's power. Anyway, this blush betrayed me. In the pan, it looked like it was going to be this like dusty gray-ish pink. The tan was what got me. I was like, tan. So it's going to be like mostly tan with a hint of pink. It was pink blush. It was just pink. Like it looked like it was going to have like interesting depth to it. It looked like it was going to have more to it. And it simply was just a boring mauve blush. And it betrayed me because I had been on the hunt for a blush that looked like it did in the pan on my skin. I have found something that will come down later on in the line. We're going to circle around to this blush discovery story a few times throughout this countdown, so buckle in. This is just stop 1 on the train. Also, just was an unremarkable formula. The only thing that I can say that it did that I was like, this is kind of nice, is that it was a little bit blurring. Like on the areas that you would apply it, it looked a little more blurred. It looked a little more perfected. This is my own doing, right? So I bought this shade and I have this instinctual feeling that had I bought another shade, I wouldn't hate this as much, but it is simply because this shade betrayed me. I feel like the longevity on the formula was fine. It was like fine, but the packaging wasn't super luxurious. I didn't like the packaging. I found it like a little difficult to open. Not only that, they put a hole in the back to make it seem as though you could pop out the pan and that there would be like refills maybe down the line, which has kind of been the talk around many a Gucci product. Like it's like in the eyeshadow palettes that you'll like be able to replace the trays, etc. Now they may have started doing that. I'm not following Gucci Beauty with like any kind of finger on the pulse. Like I don't know that much about it, but like the pan was glued into it. So why would you put the hole in the back until you were ready to make packaging and make it magnetic in order to make this whatever? And like perhaps if you are like a professional makeup artist and you bought these and you wanted to depot them, that's like it makes it a little bit easier to depot them because you can just like poke it out of the glue as opposed to like having to heat up the component. Because while it wasn't my favorite packaging, it was like aesthetically pleasing to look at. It just like didn't feel luxe in the hands, in my opinion. There are other people who disagree with me on that, but like this blush just really didn't do it for me. And for 50 doll hairs, if I'm spending 50 doll hairs on a blush, it's got to do more than just like a little bit of blurring and an underwhelming color. I must say that I am in the minority when it comes to this blush many a person likes this blush. Those people are not me. This garment that I'm wearing is so slippery. I'm slowly sitting into a slouch. Should I just what if I just did my review like this? I'm still sliding, by the way. I put this on because someone said, I really wish you had worn that jumpsuit in the Hannah collaboration video. I should have done this video I thought this was going to be a good idea, and it turns out that it wasn't. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about an indie brand. I don't like that we're doing this. Okay. I don't love that we're doing this, but these next two products come from the same brand, and I did not like either one of them. 67th place. If I'm numbering these wrong, I will correct it on the screen, which I'm sure that at some point in this video, I will be numbering them wrong because I can't count. So in 67th place is the Sky Fluff brush from Phytosurgeons. Now, I'm not even sure that I'm talking about the right brush because I bought the wrong brush initially, never bought the correct brush, but it's the one that's designed for blush specifically. I also have a Phytosurgeons blush. We'll talk about it later. We will be talking about the Phytosurgeons Skin Sparks later. Part of my frustration was that I was trying to use this with their highlighting product and it wasn't working. And then I realized about halfway through my reviewing period time, where I was spending with it, religiously trying to make this product work for me, that I was using it with the wrong product and that the brush that I was using was intended to be used with the blush. Shame on me for part one, right? Shame on me for trying to use it with a product that it wasn't designed to work for. I start using it with the Skin Spark. And here's what happened. For some reason, and I've seen other people use this blush brush, it lifted all of my foundation. Anything that I had underneath it, this brush would lift it. I knew because I hadn't been using this brush with the blush, I knew that the Skin Spark wasn't the problem. I knew that it had to be the brush, but I was like, well, let me try it with some other cream blushes and see if I can get it to work, because I was kind of enamored with the idea of having a cream blush brush. Try with my other cream blushes. Again, cream blushes that I've used many, many times. My foundation lifted. And then I was like, do I just have a heavy hand? And I do, to be fair. I do. I have bought other brushes specifically for cream formulas that do not do that. So the brush just wasn't doing it for me. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I don't know if I wasn't picking enough product up onto the brush, but I was also nervous that I was picking up too much product onto the brush. It just didn't work for me. I tried it with, I think I applied foundation with it once. I just didn't like that brush. It just didn't work out for me. I would sooner, if I was going to buy a Skin Spark, I would use my fingers before I would go out of the way to buy their brush. Or if you already have a cream product brush that you like for blush, I would use that instead, or even a sponge. Any of those I would say is honestly, in my opinion, better than this brush. Next up is another Phytosurgeons product. Now, I don't want you to think that I don't like Phytosurgeons, because that is simply not true. I only have tried 3 things so far from them, but I want to try more. These two being this low is not deterring me from trying Phytosurgeons, and I don't think it should deter you. I have this instinctual feeling that this next product is just simply not for me because, again, I've seen other people use it and really love it. I did not get along with this product, and it is the Divine Daylight Spectral Shine. I didn't read what this product was about before I bought it, but I was like, that's a highlighter. Okay. So I buy it thinking it's going to be a highlighter. And what number are we at? This is number 66. If I'm buying a product to be shiny, I need it to be shiny. And I can appreciate an understated glow. And I have bought products since the Spectral Shine that I think give me the glow that I was searching for in the Spectral Shine. So subtle, not an obnoxious highlight. I've found other products that I really like. I just feel like I was rubbing this onto my skin and nothing was happening. And I would build it up and build it up. Use my finger, use a brush, use a sponge. And I just felt like my skin looked exactly the same. They do have some pro tips for you whenever, if you don't know what to do with it. Some people had recommended me denting the product, poking into the product to be able to not be using the surface level. So I tried that. I tried pressing my finger very firmly into the product. I tried so many things to even get this to a point where I felt like I could put it on my skin and feel like I used it enough to know what it was doing, but I just didn't see it. Nothing happened. And I don't know if there's a placebo effect going on with the people who really like it. There are people who set makeup with this, their under eyes. that's something phytosurgeons like recommends. I could not wrap my head around this product. I kind of thought I was going to get something more akin to like a Ritual de Fille, like ethereal glow. And the way that phytosurgeons typically produces content for their Instagram, it does look like they're always using natural light. And I don't film in natural light ever because I'm working out of a basement. So it's like I don't have the luxury to have natural light. But I just think that it should work in more than one kind of light source. And I think there is a bit of this is just some constructive criticism. This isn't, you don't need to take what I say as gospel, right? But I do think there is inherently a flaw with a product if I have to go research how to use it. We are just at this point in makeup that like something would have to be so incredibly different that I feel the need to have to read the instructions on how to use or like read about best uses, right? I use a lot of makeup. I have a lot of techniques under my belt. And I feel like if I have to go seek out further information to make it work for me, if I have to go seek out instruction either from another content creator, from the people who make the product, that's a flaw. That's like a huge flaw because like it looks like a cream highlight. It kind of is a cream highlight. It doesn't perform like a cream highlight in my opinion. So it just felt like I was trying to do all of these things to make it work. And I just think a product should be more self-explanatory. Like I feel like if I gave a cream highlight to the guy I'm dating and I was like, this is supposed to be shiny on the tops of your cheeks, I think that he would be able to figure out how to do that, but he probably wouldn't be able to figure out how to do it with something like the spectral shine. That's what I'm saying. It's just like it should feel more, it should, like when I have a product in my hand, there should be like my intuition should get me to where I need to go. Now it might not be perfect on the first go. Like I might use it one time and be like, I'll do this other thing that I've tried before, but like I was doing that for a whole month using this product pretty regularly and I was just like, it's just not doing anything. So it didn't work for me. But as I said, take my word with a grain of salt because there are people who love these things and it's just not for me. I think this is more of a taste issue, like more of like a how I want my skin to look versus like phytosurgeons' dream for my skin to look. In 65th place, which I think is where we're at, is the M Cosmetics Veil Blush in Faded Clementine. So I went on a bit of a blush journey around April. I just was like interested in trying formulas and I got an April Fool's Day sale for M Cosmetics. Now, I probably won't be buying from M Cosmetics in the future. The owner has done some weird stuff that I'm not particularly in agreement with, so I'm probably going to avoid them from here on out. I recommend you do your own research in that facet to do whatever you want, but this does not have to do with the brand. This product is ranked here because of it. I've heard such good things about these blushes from M Cosmetics. So here's another thing. When you go into a product, having people telling me both directly and like seeing online and seeing other reviewers on YouTube talk about them, they always seem to be really well regarded. People like them, people are into them. And I was like, I too am going to be into them. I tried Faded Clementine and there is an intense amount of sparkle in it. Now, I'm not always opposed to sparkle in my blush. I like to be shiny. It's something that I really like. However, the formula, when you look at it, it's like a baked rounded formula. It's like, it doesn't scream sparkle. And I feel like you don't see the sparkle until it's like on your face. And then it's like kind of everywhere. And that's what I didn't like about it. The color was fine. And the formula is actually kind of nice. And it was kind of akin to the Hourglass formula where it felt very foolproof, like where you could just keep putting it on and it was never going to get to the point where you like felt like you looked like a clown. Like the product was intuitive, where like the last product wasn't very intuitive. I felt like every time I used this blush, I was like, all right, like it was like hard to mess up, which is nice. It's nice in a formula. I just didn't like the sparkles and I was surprised by it. I was taken off guard. I like wasn't ready for that. Like I wasn't ready for that to be in the product. And so it kind of read more as a childish blush because it wasn't a sheen. There's an elegance to a blush that has a sheen to it. But this did not, it felt like a little bit like child's makeup to me. But it was like, again, maybe it was just that shade. I also heard that other people say that there was sparkles in it, but like if you buff it into the skin, I was just like, it's fine. The other thing is, if there's an orange blush in the collection, I typically buy it. I love orange blush. I love orange blush. Maybe the pink blush would have done it. I don't really love pink blush. I'm not buying a lot of pink blush. It's not what I do here. It's not what I'm on this, like, it's not what I'm on this platform to do. This just wasn't it for me, simply. And now that I'm not really buying from the brand anymore, it doesn't feel bad to me that this is like lower on the list. In 64th and 63rd place, I'm going to tie them together. I bought this lash set from the brand Silly George. Now, before we jump into this, I need you to know that I'm not a lash wearer. When I'm putting a look together, a lash is never on my mind. However, at the beginning of this year, I thought, I can be a lash girl. I can do it. I want to do it. The reason this ranks so low is simply because I don't use them. I tested them, but like I get enough look from mascara. I don't need to throw on a lash. I just don't. I'm not doing stage makeup. And if I like was doing stage makeup or like on the news in the morning or like, you know, something where like you would need to see I might want my lashes to be more visible. Perhaps then I would be a lash girly. I just am not a lash girl. Isn't in my blood. Like I don't feel it. Like it's not for me. However, I will tell you this. It was really easy. The system was really easy. The lashes are really nice. They're supposed to last up to 30 uses. It's just like, I shouldn't have bought it. I have them. I haven't thrown them away or like departed with them because like every now and then I do like want to throw on a lash. And like I did throw on a lash a couple times throughout the summer just because I was like, well, I can. But like I maybe have worn them less than 10 times and I bought them I think back in March or something like that. Like it's been some time and like I probably should in theory if I was a lash wearer have already departed with these lashes because I should have used them enough times. But I would say that of my knowledge of false eyelashes, these are like pretty high quality ones. I think we're at number 62, the Flower Beauty Highlight Wand knockoff Charlotte Tilbury thing. This was my bad. This is my bad. I'm taking responsibility. So see what's happened is that a lot of the things that are low on my list, I don't even feel like are like the worst thing that I've ever used in my whole life. They were like fine products. They just like weren't for me. Like that's what's happening here. I was placing an Ulta order and I will pay for shipping, right? I will. However, I don't know why what I was buying, for whatever reason, the shipping was $10. I was expecting $5 shipping. Shipping was $10. I was $10 away from free shipping. And I was like, either way, I'm spending the same amount of money, right? It wasn't like I was adding so much to my cart to hit a minimum shipping. I was like, either way, if I can find a $10 product, it's going to cost me the same amount. Don't do it. Just pay for the shipping. Because I bought this product, I put it on my face and I said, I don't like this. I don't want this. I've never been entranced by the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood wand thing. Like it's not even like a thing that's on my radar. And while this is a product that I guess stands alone, right? Like it can be its own product, but it's given the vibe that it's like pretty inspired by the Charlotte Tilbury one. I was like, I would never use the Charlotte Tilbury one. I'm certainly not going to use this one. It was pretty. It was pretty. It was like a subtle highlight and it like set. It was nice. But I should have just spent $10 on shipping. $10 on shipping would have been more worth my money than me having that because I used it a handful of times. I kept it around for like a month and I like kept using it. Since then, I have come around to a softer highlight and I think if I still had it in my possession, I might like it a little bit more than I did at the time. But never so much that I think I would want to keep it in my makeup collection. It came and went so quickly. It just was my bad. In number 61, I think I've already lost count. Number 61, calling it number 61, Big Mood Mascara. Now, if you are a fan of Hannah Louise Poston, you might remember this being like a star of the show for a while on Hannah's channel. It was like, we talked about the Big Mood Mascara and I was like, yeah, I'll try a $10 mascara. I am, in my nature, a high-end mascara kind of person. That's for me. That's what I want. I just find that the formulas are better. And I know there are many people who like have many drugstore ones that they like really swear by and say are really good. And I believe you. However, for some reason, I'm always displeased by them. Now we're kind of moving out of like products I hated and we're now landing more in like products that I like am meh on. Like I would say I'm meh on this. I found this to be fine. I found the brush to be annoyingly large. Like it's an annoyingly large brush. And I have since seen other people other than Hannah and myself review this and they like hate it. I don't hate it. I don't think it's the worst thing, but there are $10 mascaras that I have tried that I liked more than this. It was like simply fine. And I think also in that moment, I thought I wanted to be like a clumpy, lashy girly like Hannah likes to be. And I think by using that product, I was like, oh, I don't think that is actually the look that I'm going for. And that was the mascara that I used the first 3 months of the year. And I was just like completely underwhelmed by it the whole time. I was like, that's simply fine. It is fine. But I would never buy that again. Like not even in a pinch. I would sooner go to like the Lash Princess from Essence before I would buy the Big Mood Mascara. Also, it was interesting the whole time I was using it, I was like, this feels like a limited edition product. Just based on the packaging, it like just wasn't feeling like I felt like if I fell in love with it, it was going to be a problem for me because I feel like it was giving the energy that I was like, this is not going to be around for a very long time. I have no idea if it's still available. I know that e.l.f. is one of those brands that has a high turnover, but this wasn't it for me. I think we're at number 60. I think that's where we're at. Okay, number 60. This is something that I did not include in my budget, but I did buy this year. It is the Sonia G Jumbo Concealer Brush. This I bought as part of the Fusion set from Sonia G. If you're not familiar with Sonia G brushes, the Fusion set is supposed to be good for cream and liquid products. Like that's what they're specifically designed for. When you look at the shape of this brush, to me, it gives me the vibe that it's really designed to be like used for spot concealing. I don't do a lot of spot concealing. I don't often find that it's a step that I feel completely necessary for my skin. Every now and then I do get a pimple, but even when I do get like blemishes or pimples, I don't really like go out of my way to cover them up. So I think that this brush was a bust for me from the get-go, but this was a little bit of a learning experience because I bought the Fusion set because I wanted to try like many Sonia G brushes at once. But let me be the first to warn you, or maybe not the first to warn you, but like I would ask you if you are going to explore Fuda brushes, specifically Sonia G or something at the Sonia G price point. Be very picky about the shapes that you're picking. And only if you're going to try a new shape, make sure you read about what that shape is used for. Do some research about like what other people who have tried the brushes like about that shape, because I went in blind and like I should never have bought this. It's still a beautiful brush. It works really well. It just doesn't add value to my brush collection, except I have reworked it. This is my contour brush now because it's kind of flat and kind of like you can draw lines with it. I get my cream contour on there and that's what I draw on my cream contour before blending it out. I don't blend it out with that brush, but I like draw it on my face because it's a little more like pinpointed than the brush that I use to buff out. It works really well for that, but I would never have bought a brush specifically to do that. This was like the alternative. It's like, well, now I have this. How can I make it work? I'm so sorry to all of my friends who would typically get the trickle down from things that I declutter from my collection and then get to keep. You're not going to get a Sonia G brush from me this soon, okay? So I'm going to keep using that Sonia G brush. And I do like it for the contour, but like I could not in my right mind recommend to you that you buy this brush to do that. I'm doing that because I already had it. Do not run out and buy this brush like it's nice for it, but it's like you don't need it for that, okay? Just keep that in mind. All right. So I'm going to have a full review of this coming out. I've been working on it, so it's not quite out yet. So spoiler alert. The Sneaky Balm from Salt, New York. My friend Danny, Hello Nurse on Instagram, was so kind to send me Salt, New York products to try. And I am so grateful for that. And I'm so grateful for that because it was a brand that I was really interested in trying. She was like, I have extra stuff. I'll just send it to you. And I'm so grateful and thankful that she did that. Unfortunately, I did not like any of it. Let me tell you a little bit why. It sure is sneaky in the way where I just felt like it did not compel me enough to even put it on. I mentioned earlier that I like a light coverage foundation, and I do. But the second part is also very important to that. I like a light coverage with a lot of blurring capabilities. I'll give you two examples of that I've tried that I really like. Surratt Dewdrop Foundation, light coverage, does so much work making your skin look like a filter and perfecting it without coverage. The Chantecaille Future Skin Gel Foundation, very similar, but I don't like that one as much as the Surratt, but like very blurring and very light coverage. So like your skin still looks like your skin, almost as if it has a filter on it. The Sneaky Balm is like a hint of coverage, and that's it. And I think the most surprising part about it is that there's not that much product in the pan, first and foremost. Second part is that I felt like I had to use a lot of it just to cover my face, not to build up coverage, to get it all over the surface area of my face. I felt like I was going back into the pan so much that it was like, why would I pay money for this? I don't know if I'm going to try to pan it, but like there's a big dent in it already, and I've worn it maybe 10-ish times. Almost going to hit pan. I've used it 10 times. No other foundation product that I've used was I that close to hitting pan. Now, obviously, when you hit pan, that's just like the beginning of the story. Getting all the way around the edges is something else. But like everyone else I've seen talk about this, they use the product up so fast. And while it's not the most expensive foundation product, if I'm buying it at a faster rate that I would be buying a bottle of foundation. I'm not saving money because I'm still spending the same amount. It's just like over $16 increments. I'm confused and I don't know. I know a lot of people kind of view it as like this hero product, like this thing that they reach for when they're like, but like, I just thought it was a coverage. Here's what I will say about it. It did do something, right? Like it wasn't the worst thing in the world. I don't know a lot about the brand, but I believe that this was a makeup brand started by a makeup artist, and that makes a lot of sense to me based on the way it performs. It is undetectable on camera, whether I'm taking photos or if I'm taking video. It's like my skin does look a little bit better without being detectable. I just don't think it looks as good in person. So because it kind of on camera, there must be something in the formula where like light refracts off of it in such a way that it does do some blurring, but in person, it doesn't look as good. And for it being like a creamy formula, I was expecting like a little bit more life to it, but I do feel like it's just like a skin finish. So I do like some luminosity when it comes to my foundation product. Like I like a glow. It doesn't provide that. I don't know that it promises that. And I also think you need to be careful about what primers you use with it. It did not like the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base, which is my baseline primer when I'm trying a new foundation or whatever. That's the primer that I like to try with it because I find that it's like the most neutral primer. So then I put it on top of like oil primer. It looked better on top of that. Then it was like really shiny. And so then it like kind of lost its skin finish. So it's like I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know what to do. It like just didn't work out for me. And I apologize to anyone who really loves that product. I'm not shaming you. If you really do and if it works out for you, then great. But like there were way more cons than pros to this product, in my opinion. 59. The Salt New York Contour in Taupe. We're going to be on Salt New York for a while. I have been trying to wrap up using a container of the Fenty Cheeks Out bronzer in amber, which is like a contour color. It's like a very cool tone contour color. I was so delighted to get to try this because I was like, this will be really great for whenever I'm done with the Fenty. Like this will just be what I move on to. The formula is really thick and grippy. So I applied it both with a brush and my fingers. I just feel like there's like some grip to it. It's not, these formulas from Salt New York are all pretty different. They're not all made equal, right? They like have different feelings to them. It's just like, was really warm on my skin. It didn't look warm in the pan, but like the second I put it on my skin, it looked more like a bronzer. And I like my contour to be pretty cool toned. It blended out really nice. Both the Fenty and this product kind of blend out to being like a very, very soft contour, which is great. Especially this makeup is designed to be used by makeup artists who are into photography, whatever. Like when you turn your face, it's not like you see like a gray streak going across it. Know that. Like it's like, it does look really natural, but like I have the Fenty one. I'm still trying to pan the Fenty one. I found that the Fenty one is like creamier and more slick, which I like, which might be a Conti. You might enjoy this because it has that like a little bit of a gripping quality. I don't know what it is, but I only felt it really in this one. But yeah, this really didn't work out for me either, unfortunately. And so while we're on the topic, let's move on to the highlight. This, much like the Flower Beauty highlight, it's just not the kind of highlight that I'm into. It's very soft, very natural. Perhaps if this had beat the Auric Glow Lust to my house, I might have liked this more. Got the Auric Glow Lust this year, and it's like, I think it's a really soft, natural, glowy highlight product, and it can do so many more things than this. Not that you can't layer this underneath your foundation or whatever to give the glow like you can do with the Auric Glow Lust. I just don't like the look of this as much, and it was kind of a similar glow to the Flower Beauty wand. Like I felt like they look kind of the same. It's nice. I do feel like it's a little bit gritty. Not in the way that the contour was like, there was gritty. Like you can kind of feel the shimmer particles in it when you're blending it out. And like, I feel like that this formula picks up like more chunky than the foundation or the contour does. This whole line's not for me. Like the thing is, anytime I did it, I felt like my skin looked okay. Like I felt like my skin looked good enough. I like my makeup to look like I'm wearing makeup. And I know that's not everyone's gig. Now, I like my skin to look like skin, and I like my contour to be blended out. But like, I want it to look like I put highlight on purposefully. Like, I didn't go through this whole process for you to go look at my skin and be like, undetectable. Like, that's not what I'm doing. Like, especially if like my eyeshadow, my lipstick, and like all the other things I'm wearing are like a little more obvious. It's like, why would I want my skin to look less obvious? Does that make sense? And I know that's not everyone's gig. I think Salt New York, there is a person for it. There's a buyer for it. There's a person who's going to like it, but like I'm not the consumer for it. Coming in at number 56 is the McGrath Intensifeyes. This product is bizarre. This product is weird. I feel like it has a place in a makeup artist kit. And so as you can see, I'm a makeup consumer more than I am a makeup artist, right? I'm not a working makeup artist. There are sometimes I think that Salt New York, great for a working makeup artist. I think this is a tool that someone who does professional makeup would use. However, it's not something that you're putting on your eyes for longevity. What I think the best use for it is whenever I would put multi-chromes on my eyes, this would make all of the shifts so much shiftier. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you why. Don't know what that is about. But that's my experience, is that multi-chromes looked really, really good on top of it. Sheer wet look shadows also look really good on top of it. It did not enhance the performance or shininess of metallics or foiled shades. It was just anything that had a shift or a lot of sparkle to it. I felt like you saw the sparkles more. You saw the shifts more. So that's what it's good for. And this is something that I still have in my collection. This isn't decluttered. Nothing in this video was PR. By the way, I don't think anything in this video is PR. I've been meaning to mention that as I go, but I did not. I have been, but nothing here is. The Intensifeyes is just simply not for me. That is not for me. I have it, and when I do sometimes I'll use it for a photo if I'm just putting makeup on to take photos. It's fine for that, but it's not something that I think is worth your money. Now, there are people who disagree with me, and there are people who very much agree with me. Do with that information what you will. I just think that if you're someone who just posts your looks for Instagram, but you're not really wearing that makeup out and about after you do that look, you might like this. But if you're looking to wear your makeup out, no. I don't think this is for you. I would go with a glitter glue or a glitter primer before I would go with this. Back to Salt New York, number 55, the blush in Rose. Now, this of the formulas I tried, this is the one that I liked the most. And this color is really pretty. And I mentioned earlier in this video that I am not big on pink blush. This looked really intuitive on my skin. It's one of those shades that khaki I think would describe as honed in, where it's this is a pink blush, but it looks like something that your cheeks actually would be that color. If you're my skin tone, it's your cheeks turn that color. And instead of looking just like pink, it looks like the rosy, it looks like the rosiness that I might get when I'm flushed, when I've run, whenever I'm flirting with someone and I'm blushing, that's the kind of look it is. And so while it looks completely ordinary in the pan, I think once I got it on my skin, I was impressed by it. While I think the color is much better than I was expecting it to be based on looking at it in the pan, it's still not a blush color that I'm going to be reaching for often. And so unfortunately, I also think the blush formula of the 4 formulas that I tried from Salt New York is the best one. It seems the most well-rounded. It's creamy, not too creamy, stiff enough, not too stiff. It does the Goldilocks of the 4 formulas I've tried. They have some other colors. There's another color that someone really wants me to try, and I forget which color it is, but it's one that looks brown, and they were you'll probably really like it. The other thing about Salt New York is that their creams, they sit next to each other in my Z palette, and I swirl my brushes in there, my fingers. They all kind of get into the other product when you're doing that, and I can separate the pans, but it's just it's no longer convenient to me at that point. And I don't have one of the Salt New York magnetic palettes. I don't have one of them. I'm sure if I got one of those, it would be my favorite thing that Salt New York makes, because they look really pretty, they look very aesthetic, they look cool. I'm not looking for a magnetic palette right now, and I probably wouldn't get the Salt New York one. At number 54 is the Merit Flesh Balm in the shade Beverly Hills. So this is one of those epitome of meh products. The color is nice enough. The formula is nice enough. I need a blush that is more adaptable than this. It is kind of a foolproof, but in the wrong way. It's I could keep putting it on and putting it on and putting it on and putting it on. It would still look exactly as it did on the first swipe. You could build it up just a skosh. Just the littlest bit of bits, not to a full opacity. I would rather have a blush that feels too pigmented and have to work on different techniques to apply it more lightly than to never be able to build it up. Because while I don't always want a strong blush look, I want the option with the blush. And I just feel like the Merit blushes do not provide that to me. It's just it is the blush that it is. It's okay, I'm going to need something that does a little bit more than that. I do recommend these to people who are afraid of blush, afraid of cream blush. If you're one of those 2 people, this is the blush for you. It doesn't have to be in the shade. I imagine they all work very similarly, but like it's just blushes for people who have like are faint at heart about the blush, but like don't want to forego the step, but like want something really easy, but like want to try a cream. Great for you. For me, someone who like sometimes gets really into the blush draping of it all. I haven't done a blush draping look in quite some time, but like I need that option to be available to me, and it's just not in the Merit formula. This is going to be the last product we talk about today. We've been at it for some time, so there's going to be like 3 more installments of this. So wrapping out the worst is the Serum blush from M Cosmetics in the shade Sunset Sky. It is pretty. I kind of liked it. The thing was, I don't feel like I had the issues with the packaging that everyone else did. It's aesthetically pleasing packaging. And if all of my makeup was sitting on top of my vanity and not in drawers, it'd be like a thing that I think I'd be more keen on keeping around, because I did like the formula. I liked how glowy it looked. I liked how wet it looked. And on my oily skin, it worked just as well. I know that some people were worried that like the pigment doesn't stay if you have oily skin. I found that it like held up throughout the day. It's an interesting formula. I understand why I was so interested in trying it. I understand why it is a popular product. I knew I liked it when I used it, but when I would open up my blush drawer, it was never what I was reaching for. Just never what I was reaching for. I do believe that there are colors that were probably more my speed. It got overlooked so much because I kept it in my blush drawer, and I have like separators. So I have little slots that I put my blushes into for like compacts. And it obviously doesn't fit in there, and my whole drawer has those. So it kind of like would sit sideways on there, and I just would end up reaching for a compact. Even if it was like another cream or like liquid product, I need it to be like in a compact, I guess. And it was one of those things that I didn't not work on top of powder, but I preferred it underneath. Like before I would powder, I would almost just like avoid that area with powder altogether, so you could see like the glossy sheen of the Serum blush. But honestly, it didn't. I just put a new battery in you. And while the formula is interesting, it's just like it wasn't special enough for me to like keep around in my collection. It's not something I'd recommend you to go out to buy. Like I was like so hell bent on like needing to know that I do know now, and I'm like, I've already decluttered it, and yeah. Just isn't for me. All right. Whew. I've been talking for a very long time. I have no idea how long this video will be, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be long. But if you are new here and you enjoyed today's video and you would like to see more content from me, go ahead and subscribe. And also, subscribe to see what happens on the rest of this list, and then also all the other fun things I have in store for us this December. Make sure you like this video before you leave it. And I'm also on patreon.com if you would like to support me there. No pressure. I'm just very happy that you are here. And remember to follow your hote, and you will find me. I appreciate you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, friends.